Hello, and in our first lesson today, we're going to look at the evolution of PR SEO. We're going to initially begin by looking at how SEO used to be done and how and why this evolved into PR SEO. We're going to look at a few real-life examples of what caused this change and how these two industries are now merging. When we talk about PR SEO, you'll often hear people, including myself, refer to Google. Now, it's not that Google is the only search engine, but it is the one with the greatest dominance across the majority of the English-speaking world. And what we find is if you focus on tactics that optimize for Google, you inherently end up optimizing for all the other search engines as well. Now, when we look at the search space, if you put in any search query you like, you can put in teddy bears, cats, and what you'll find is that there will be a selection of adverts at the top and down the side, and those are the paid spaces. And then below that, what you'll find is the organic space. And this is what integrated PR SEO is really focused on. How do we own that particular space? Now, just for your own point of reference, I'd like you to take a moment now and think about how many times you click on an advert versus clicking on an organic search result. It's going to be a lot less on the adverts compared to the organic. And that's a really important point to take home. The reason we are so concerned with owning that space is that it gets the vast majority of the clicks. And so everything we can do to own more of it helps our businesses, not both with sales, but also it helps our businesses evolve because it helps us own that branded space. Now, the percentage of search traffic that you'll get in the first result is significantly more. The majority goes to position 1, and then the traffic goes lower and lower as you get to the back pages. So if you want to have the majority of the traffic for any specific key term, it really is about being on page 1. Now, Google's mission is to give the best answer to a user's query. Now, in the past, Google had a set of rules of how you did this, and it used to be webmasters that would just go and tell Google things about their website. But then things changed. What happened then is that people started to do what we call black hat SEO. They were trying to trick Google into learning or thinking things about their website that maybe weren't true. And this is where the true magic of Google evolved. The Google algorithm was built to help determine what are the best results. And it has loads of factors that it takes into account to determine this. One of the main ones is inbound links to a website. And this is really where integrated PR SEO happens. So when we look at the examples on the slide deck, you'll see all the different factors, and PR influences most of them. But it is really the links that we're thinking about when we're doing integrated strategies. But it's important to understand something about links. Links are a bit like the X factor. They exist as votes of popularity. Now, when we consider the X factor, it's not actually how good you are, it's how popular you are that determines if you win. And this is absolutely true for how the Google algorithm works with regards to links. You want as many votes as possible. Some people have tried to trick this in recent times, and one really good example is JCPenney. Now, JCPenney is an online store and a department store, and they went and they did what we call black hat SEO, or what looks like black hat SEO, I should say, and bought a lot of links. And in the accompanying slide deck, you'll see a couple of examples of how many links they built over key periods. So they were trying to get as many links as possible coming up to their big shopping times, and it worked. They ranked for all their best search terms right at the top, getting the most amount of search volume and clicks in the peak shopping times. But then they were found out. And what happened to them is what all businesses and all SEOs and PRs should really fear, is having their website significantly downgraded. They went from being in the top 3 for most of their positions for key search terms and plummeted past page 1. Now, this is a real concern, because you can't just stop doing bad SEO and then go back to doing good SEO. It's not always reversible. And in fact, what you'll find is that some businesses never recover from doing dangerous SEO or link building. And that means that they have to shut down. Google is so smart that even if you start the business under a new website with different copy, it can often still figure out that it's a website that it de-indexed at a previous time. So the evolution of PR working together with SEO is actually about not just growing websites, but keeping them safe for future revenue as well. One of the key things that we need to look at is how algorithm updates have affected media. When I first started working in PR SEO, if something interesting happened with Google, I would call up press to try and get my firm some press. But what was really bizarre to me is that media just never really seemed to care. And I was like, surely internet traffic is important to you too? But it just wasn't top of their agenda. And then we had the Panda update. And the Panda update is one of the most significant moments, at least in my career, from getting media aware of the value of PR and SEO working together. Because the Panda update took out loads of media websites. So people like Pocketland went from ranking for loads of terms to almost non-existent. And there were things like IT Pro Portal and many, many other websites. And in the accompanying slide deck, you can have a look at those. Now, this is when media started to change their attitude and started to become aware that SEO safety was important to how they did their job. And that has a massive impact on how we do ours. We need to make sure that anything that we're doing not only keeps our clients safe, but also keeps press safe. And this means that more often than not, if you're pitching a thought leadership article, it's important to say this is exclusive to X or Y publication, because they're now so terrified of duplicate content and what's happened to publications in the past happening again, that they would rather reject something that could be of value to them than take any risk at all. Just to recap everything we've covered in this lesson, we've looked at the history of PR SEO and integrated communication strategies. We've looked at some real-life case studies, and we've also looked at how this influences the way press and publishers behave. But more importantly than anything, what I really hope you're taking away from this lesson is that it's not about making SEO look natural, it's about the importance of it in fact being natural, but fueled by good PR tactics. And that's what we'll get to over the next few lessons.